YouTube. Hello YouTube, my name is Tracy Kyles. This is my first video I've ever made for CrazieInc, so bear with me. Well, I am a freelancing graphic designer, and today I was actually presented with an interesting question, so I figure I should make a video to talk about it. The question is, what is the difference between art and entertainment? Well, the first thing we should probably then ask is, what defines art? Well, I find that if you break down the basic definition, art is an expression of using craft and skill. What they're expressing is usually just a message, a tone, a mood, something like that. And no matter what it is, there's always going to be somewhere a message. And so I guess the question we should really be asking when we ask if it's art is that a deep message that makes an impact? But wait a minute. Here's the thing about that. Most of our basic ideas of art have a message and make an impact, but there are some forms of art that don't always make too deep of an impact, but send at least some basic message, persuasive message. So if we base it on whether or not they put a message, a deep message, in there, doesn't it unfairly rule out some forms of art? Like, I kind of think of graphic design, for example, the work I've done. A lot of it is pretty commercial. Like, most people, when they want me to do something for them, it's, usually an ad or, a new look. They're just trying to do something that can attract, their audience. And so my designs, well, what I was trained in design is that they need to send a basic, quick message. It has to be fast. It has to be something that can be understood under 30 seconds. And if it's something that's too deep and too confusing, it's no longer successful because it doesn't successfully communicate fast enough. But does that mean that graphic design isn't meaningful? Absolutely not. There's a lot of design out there that's actually been pretty meaningful, has made a large social impact. So, you can't rule that out just because of that. So, going to another example here, the entertainment industry. I'm going to be using music, for example. A lot of our music these days have very simple meanings to them. Pretty basic. Usually just sex or drinking or partying or I'm rich, But there's still meanings, and also they still play with some basic rules within their medium, such as they have a tone, they have a mood, the music, the cadence of the beats, despite it being rather basic. So I guess we could argue that it isn't good art, but that doesn't always, mean that it's not art, Well, I also find, from my perspective, that art has a little bit of a science to it, specifically psychiatry or psychology. Sorry. For example, music. Music plays with cadence, plays with tone, and that all sets different emotions, moods, and it affects us. It really does. For example, I was having a talk with one of my other friends about how if you were to think about how confused music would sound, it would kind of be these off tones that would probably emulate, for example, inflection. Like if you found that a lot of people, when they ask questions, they always put the inflection at the end of the sentence. Yeah. Like that. And, there have been studies out there that have shown that cadences or, beats, the paces actually play with our heart and our brain waves. So there's definitely something sound to that. In visual art, that also plays with psychology. Colors make an impact. Red colors excite us because in nature they've always been kind of the warning colors and such. And blue colors calm us, or just very neutral to us because, the sky is blue. It's a very common color. We're used to it. Our brain's more calmed by it. Acting plays with nonverbal communication. A good actor is someone who's emotionally convincing. What makes them emotionally convincing? It's not just what they say, it's also facial expressions, body language, that makes a difference. It speaks more than words alone. Could you imagine if you went to a Broadway play and it was just a bunch of people standing up there, like at a children's play, just standing there nervously, belting their lines, not changing their facial expression, not moving? It would be boring. We wouldn't really get it. We probably wouldn't be able to distinct any characters. It makes a world of a difference when you have, you know, changes of inflection in voice, facial expressions, movement. It all makes a big difference. It registers to us. And the thing is, those in the entertainment industry also understand this basic psychology and also play with it. And then this brings me to my next point. All great artists, I find, have a lot of this inherently understood. They are born with a sensitivity, and they have this sense of observation that they can kind of see this in other people and emote it, or put it back into their artwork. And I've also noticed that good entertainers within the industry also understand this and know how to feed into these principles. And these principles are basic human nature, And art, I find, is nothing more than a response and a reflection of the human condition, from the most primal parts of the human condition to, the most higher thinking conceptual. The saying is quite true: art imitates life. And entertainment will also imitate our current condition. It's not always as creative, but it responds to our current social conditions usually. It's pop culture, So art is entertainment, and entertainment is art. Now, not all art is entertaining, and not all entertainment is very creative, But that doesn't rule it out, because there was still somebody, when they came up with this, terrible music or terrible ad or what have you, there was still somebody who came up with that idea and had to send a message, even though it's a poor message or a great message. And they still played with these basic psychological rules and executed through their medium, They're still creators behind the entertainment. So I guess what I would call it is easy art, because the truth of the matter is the reason why it works in the entertainment industry is it doesn't always challenge you. It doesn't challenge your mind. They don't really want to try to go for higher concepts a lot of the time, Sometimes it's just easy to entertain the lowest common denominator. And I don't mean that in just like, the stupidest of society, the lowest common denominator within ourselves, You admit that, you can admit, for example, safe to say that, for example, sex sells for everyone, whether they're genius or the dumbest. And it all, above all, plays by the same rules. So, yeah, that's my input, in my opinion. So, once again, my name's Tracy Kyles, and thank you for watching.